Hey guys, Rich back here again. I'm here with a video, and in this video you're not really going to get any edits at all because I want it to be a straightforward video. And bear in mind, this will not be a repeating process, so just relax. Do not think that my videos from now on will be like this. They will continue to be edited, but like maybe a rare occurrence that this will probably happen. But with that being said, so, as many of you already know, that we this marks the 10th year anniversary of The Dark Knight, and I have a lot to get off my chest. Now, I've already done two similar videos about this, kind of, not really, but I want to do a video basically talking about The Dark Knight and just really give my honest thoughts on it and whatnot. So, of course, The Dark Knight came out in 2008, 10 years ago. And to this day, it still gets all the attention and recognition that it truly deserves. Now, the one thing that I really wanted to talk about is, of course, just the film as a whole, you know. And I will get to other topics regarding the film, like, surrounding it. But the movie as a whole, you know, I've expressed my feelings about this film for God knows how long, and I still hold the same opinion. And now let me talk about one thing really quick. There is one thing that I really wanted to get to, and that is basically talking about the people who just love to call this movie, or really let alone the entire trilogy, overrated. Now, I don't know about you guys, but I've seen this happen a lot on YouTube. I've seen like countless and countless rant videos about this movie, about this whole trilogy. And even back then, like when the film first premiered, I went on YouTube and I saw, again, countless rant videos of people just ripping it, saying that it's not as good as people say it is, that it's getting way too much support and whatnot. And now, no, actually, no, I'm gonna wait. There is something I wanted to get to that. I'll wait till later on during this video. But whether you think it's overrated or not, whether you hate it or like it, it remains a classic 10 years later. And you know, there are just so many like memorable and countless scenes from the film. But even like, even when you take the Joker out, you can still have some good moments in this movie. For example, when the whole hospital scene with Two-Face and Joker, I know I messed up, but that whole hospital scene, the Two-Face towards the end where Two-Face is basically threatening Gordon's family, that whole scene I thought was good as well. You know, and another thing too is that, and by the way, I never, well actually, little fun fact, the only movie that I did see in theaters regarding this whole trilogy was Batman Begins, but I never saw the sequels in theaters. And also, and the thing about it too, it's like, you know, like seriously, like, it's like, I can't think of like any more words to describe the movie as a whole. And one other thing too that I really hate is, I kind of do get annoyed a little bit, like when people do call this movie overrated. I don't like how they'll basically put the blame towards the fans, I guess. They'll say that it's because of the fans of this movie that this movie is just getting way too much praise, it's getting praised way too much. That and another thing too is that people like to point out the bad things about it, and I've done that too. Like, I've done that a million times where I point out bad things in a good movie. I don't act like everything's perfect if there are things in there that make it bad or whatever. So it is kind of ridiculous how they try to make it sound like, oh well, because of this it doesn't make it that good or whatnot. Also, another thing I wanted to get to was I wanted to compare this movie to Tim Burton's Batman movie back in the 90s. And I've said this before, that I'm pretty sure there are some people who do prefer Tim Burton's take on it, and that's fine. I've said this a million times that if you prefer this version, well then by all means. And I can definitely see why people would prefer Nicholson's portrayal as the Joker, just because he was more close to like the comic book version. Now, to be honest, I feel kind of bad for him too, because people say, well, while he was good as a Joker, he basically just played Jack. And in a way, you could make that argument, because in reality, like, I guess you could call this an example of typecasting, where basically you have an actor who plays the same person in every single movie. And not only that, but in both The Shining and in this movie, he goes by the name Jack. So you could make that argument, well, he just plays the same person. Like, so like you, and people might be questioning, so is he really playing the Joker after all? But I think he is. And even if he is basically just playing Jack, I'm pretty sure he also was trying to play the Joker. It's kind of like with Will Smith as Deadshot. People were saying, oh, he's not really Deadshot, he's just playing Will Smith. But no, he tried as Deadshot. And also, another thing is that, and I've admitted too that I do like Nicholson. I did a video a while ago showing off this one portrait that I bought with both Nicholson and Ledger's Joker. But I do prefer this Joker a lot more. And also, I was reading an article too recently, just basically saying that The Dark Knight, while it did change Hollywood, I think it even said like at what cost, you know, and yeah, that is something that you could take into consideration. And another thing too is that I kind of get annoyed too when people say that it's because of The Dark Knight that the recent DCEU films have been failing, which I don't think that's not really fair, because why would you put the blame on one movie for the DCEU's failure? It's their own fault that they keep screwing things up. If that was the case, Wonder Woman would have also sucked then. But then again, there are people who say it sucks. You know, I saw positive reviews for Wonder Woman, but as I expected, I did see some people saying that it sucks. And you know, but I'm not gonna get into the details of it. And also, another thing that I wanted to talk about is basically how what was it? Oh, and also, I also feel bad for Ledger too, because if you guys, when he was first cast, everyone basically criticized the decision, and I can see why. Basically, if I was 20 years old 10 years ago, I would have had the same mindset, to be quite honest. I only saw him in one other movie, which was The Brothers Grimm. And to be quite honest, yeah, after seeing some movie clips of him from other films, I could definitely see why people were hesitant to see this guy take on the role. But then again, it paid off. Now, one thing that I do want to get to is, now, if there's one movie that in this whole trilogy that does deserve somewhat, maybe not hate, but criticism, it's definitely The Dark Knight Rises. Now, I've expressed this many times. Well, not really, but I have expressed this quite a bit, that while I did enjoy it, it had too many problems. If I could give my thoughts real quick, it had some entertaining moments, like, you know, the first encounter with Batman, and then the whole, I think you even had like all of the police in Gotham fighting all of Bane's men. It had some good moments, but there was also just too many bad moments. Like, you know, Ra's al Ghul's daughter being the main villain was stupid. And Gary Oldman too, I thought was brilliant as Commissioner Gordon, and etc. etc. The only thing I did not like was what's her name? Maggie is that her first name? Yeah, I was not a big fan of Maggie Gyllenhaal though as Rachel. She was the only part of the film that kind of I just did not like. I just did not like her role in this film. Wasn't as bad as, say, Mary Jane from the Spider-Man trilogy, but still. And overall, yeah, I mean, the movie definitely does. It has its place in terms of being one of the best films in history. And once again, I just get so annoyed when people just like to criticize it. Like, I understand if you want to point out some of the maybe like minor issues, but I just hate when people try to turn it into a big issue. Like, oh, well, this is why it's not as good as people say it is. Blah blah blah. Like, that's where I think it gets super annoying. Also, on that note, you know, and if you and honestly, like, I've admitted this many times on my channel that I've always been more of a Marvel person, but like, I seriously can't even think of a better Marvel movie than The Dark Knight. And now I'm pretty sure some people will beg to differ. I'm almost certain about that. And the thing is, this movie, and a lot of people like to say that this movie feels more like a crime drama than an actual hero movie. And we've seen examples of that before. Most notably, also, we had Logan, which, again, Logan also felt like just a more of a drama than an actual hero movie. And I think that's why this film also became so popular, because it broke off in terms of, like, you know, it was able to branch off of, like, of what you would expect in a hero film. And to be quite honest, it's not hard to see why this film just gained a cult following. And I just really hope that DC can make some good movies again, because their recent films have just been sucking ass lately. I mean, I don't mean to sound like an asshole, but their movies in the DCU have just been failures. I mean, Batman v Superman was just one of the worst films I've ever seen in my life. Suicide Squad, I had major potential, but that was just horrible. And also, Man of Steel was boring as fuck. Like I remember, like, immediately once the credits rolled for Man of Steel, I immediately compared it to The Dark Knight, like, saying that, oh my god, compared to that was superior, and this was just a bore fest. Justice League was possibly, and I mean, Justice League, it was entertaining. It had some good entertaining moments, but the overall film, I didn't care. You know, I still hold the same mindset that they should have given these guys their own solo movies. Like, they basically did the exact opposite of what the MCU has been doing. Now, I don't want to go on a rant about the DCEU, but it's just the truth. You know, the only good scene from that film was really, was Deathstroke. You know, his costume looked better than all that CGI put together. Like, literally. And the reason why I'm bringing them up is because, if I'm being honest here, the last ever DC film that I really enjoyed was really The Dark Knight Rises. It had problems, but compared to those, yeah, it was so much better. I just really hope that they can come through, because they need to get their shit together. I mean, they have Aquaman coming out, and you've already seen people making fun of the poster. You could argue it's in a good way, but when you see more of them, yeah, it's not been good lately. But again, it's just a side issue. Again, I don't mean to go on around the DCEU, but let's be honest, they've just been screwing up so much lately. And Infinity War really put them to shame. It put the Justice League to shame big time. But enough about that. And I'm bringing them up because, again, people are blaming this movie because of their failure. I saw a whole video about, you know, why there'll never be a DC movie as good as The Dark Knight or whatever. And it's not even that they can't make good movies. They can make good movies. But they just, for some reason, they just don't seem to. And if you were to ask me, like, what are my favorite DC movies, it's really just the Batman movies. Now, you're probably asking me, well, is there at least maybe one DC movie that you like that's not Batman related? Yeah, Watchmen. Watchmen is possibly my only DC movie, my only favorite DC movie that's not Batman related. just because I loved Rorschach, I love the comedian. I know it was almost very similar to Batman v Superman, but I feel like the dark tone for that film worked out perfect, just because if you read the Watchmen novel or the comics, they are pretty dark, and I feel like the dark tone really fit that movie. But when you watch Batman v Superman, it just did not work. They made it too dark, too depressing, and just too unlikable. Like, it's a film that it's impossible to defend. It really, and I get it. You're probably gonna tell me, oh well, Marvel and DC, they both have dark moments in comics. Yeah, they do have some dark moments in comics and everything, but I think what I'm trying to say is, it's not as like spot on, I would say. I guess if that makes any sense. But yeah, I mean, The Dark Knight really changed a lot. It really did. I mean, it really changed how people see hero movies, you know? And it remains my favorite DC movie of all time, just because of the creativity and the effort and the hard work that was put into it. And again, I don't care if people call them overrated. I don't care, or it overrated. I don't care if people like to bash this film because of its popularity. I'm an honest guy, and I've stuck to the same opinion that I love this movie, and I own the entire trilogy because I love them so much. They are some of the best comic book films of all time. And also, you know, and also, I don't care what people say. You know, I've also stuck to the same opinion that Heath Ledger is still the best Joker. He's not the best like animated Joker, but he's, in my opinion, the best live action Joker. But that also stems from the fact that he was more of my generation, because I wasn't born when, you know, Tim Burton's was released. I was born, like, literally, I was born 10 years before The Dark Knight came out. I was born 20 years ago. And so yeah, so Heath Ledger was more of my generation. And, you know, I just cannot say enough about it, you know? And I don't like to sound repetitive, but what do you want me to say? You want me to lie and say, oh no, I think it's a shitty movie, I don't like it? No, if I like something, I'm gonna say I like it. If I hate something, I'm gonna say I hate it. And I don't care if it gets to a point where I'm bashing something that is mostly praised or liking something that is mostly hated on. And really, and now that I'm talking about that, it doesn't matter how many times something gets praised or hated. Something could get praised by the entire world and have its haters. Something can be entirely hated on, but will have its supporters. I mean, do you know how many people hate Spider-Man 3, but I actually like it and support it and try to defend it? I do that a lot with a lot of movies, games, etc. So, yeah, guys, I mean, I just had to get all this out, you know. I know I kind of went off topic too a couple of times, but, you know, I mean, it happens to all of us, you know, where we're discussing a certain topic, but then we just go off topic. So, yeah, guys, I mean, I just love it, you know, 10 years later, and I still hold it as the best DC film. And Nolan definitely earned his place in terms of being one of the best directors ever. And it's also a shame too when you find out that he wanted to come back as the Joker, but of course that didn't happen. And yeah, I mean, the film definitely deserves all the credit that it still gets to this day, and it's no surprise that future generation fans will look back at this film and know how just damn good it was. And yeah, guys, so I'm really happy with this movie, and there's really nothing else I can say about it other than it's just fantastic. So yeah, there's not really much else I can say about it, guys. I mean, this movie definitely exceeded expectations beyond expectations. And again, and now, like I was trying to say earlier, do I think that it's the best comic book movie? Not yet, because there's a lot, and I'm pretty sure people will have their own favorites. I wouldn't call it the best comic book film just yet, but it definitely, at least in my opinion, still remains the best DC movie. And it's no surprise that Heath Ledger's version just had a big impact on a lot of people. And it's because of that movie too that I also became a big fan of Two-Face. So yeah, with so many iconic moments in this movie and just so many iconic roles and memorable scenes and quotes and everything, it still stands out 10 years later. And I'm really hoping that again DC can just recapture the magic that they once had with their films. You know, like in terms of animated shows and animated films, DC is better with that than Marvel. But with their live action movies, Marvel trumps them big time. It's just a fact, guys. There's nothing you can do about it. So, yeah, guys. So I'm gonna end it right now. I don't know how long I've been talking, but again, you're not gonna like I said, guys. My videos will not be like this consistently. If I ever do videos like this where it's unedited, it might just be a rare occurrence, just an extreme rare occurrence. And you will get another video like this, maybe like in the next couple of weeks. It's gonna be me basically recapping the last 10 years of the MCU. So be on the lookout for that. I don't know when that video will come out, so just stay tuned for that. So yeah, guys. So that's pretty much my thoughts on this whole thing. You know, I'm happy with the movie. I've stuck to my opinion for all these years, and I will still stand by them. And yeah, guys. So I really love this movie, and it's also just a big shame how, you know, he did pass away at a very young age, but at least his legacy will live on, you know. So let me know what you guys think. And again, I wasn't trying. And another thing, I wasn't trying to be a little DC or anything. I'm just stating the facts here, okay? I'm just giving facts. And if you disagree with me, well then just please let me know in a respectful manner. Please do not bash me. Do not call me out. Do not act like a complete a-hole, because I just don't like that. So just please do not do that. Please. Just keep this civil. Alright, so yeah, guys. So pretty much it. So let me know what you guys think and all that good stuff. All that good stuff. And I'll see you guys next time, alright? So pretty much it, alright, guys? So be sure to click the notification button, like, comment, subscribe, and until then, REKLEZ Rich. Signing out.